All right, it is Wednesday, my dudes. How are you all doing? Midnight Hatter here, and yeah, I hope everyone is having a good week so far. This is one of those rare months, kind of like a leap year, where you get five five weeks in the month. Well, 5 Wednesdays in the month anyway. So, as promised, I always like to take that bonus week of the month and host a little Q&A slash general State of the Union type hangout. So anybody who wishes to hop on, let me know in the chat, of course. And if you are part of the Discord, then I will be in the live stream info chat if you want to call in and ask a voice question. As always, I gotta check my audio and make sure that I don't sound like a robot. Because, I don't want to have another boomer stream. Sounds good. My voice is a little nasally, but, that's for you guys to suffer through. Hey, Zevi. Welcome to the chat. Hope you are doing well. So, I've been subtly dropping hints about this in recent weeks on the Discord, is that there is a massive overhaul coming to the Gundam 5e tabletop system. For those of you who don't know, I created my own Gundam adaptation of D&D 5e, and it's right now it's in a very playable state, but it's in a state that I'm not happy with where the rules are at and where a lot of the gameplay balance is. So I've been putting together this document and working together with some of the mods and getting their approvals on things and making sure that we're all kind of in agreement about refocusing the system mechanics in a way that is true to my original mission of creating this system, and also gives people a little bit more of that freedom that we've talked about. I know that, yeah, I mean, I've had, lots of feedback, and more people are using the system, which is great because it gives me more feedback to work with. It, I'll be honest, I get a lot of people, sending me direct messages and sending me chats that just say, your system sucks and like you should go kill yourself. And I'm like, well, you haven't played it, you haven't even created a character, you haven't DM'd it, so your stance is kind of weak. But I've also had a lot of feedback recently from people who have not only been running the system as is, but also adding their own flavor to it. And I've taken a lot of these suggestions and applied them to the core rules. So anyway, let's get into what I'm working on. And of course, I'm working on both this, and there's some other stuff that I wanted to showcase and talk about what I'm going to be doing here. For one thing, let's hop into our Blender window here. So, as a result of my continued and ongoing failure when it comes to copying 1/400th scale mobile suit models in silicone and casting them in liquid resin, I have decided to invest in a resin 3D printer, which I placed the order for. It should be arriving tomorrow, which is awesome. And so, of course, I am digging into, I was already, as a part of some of the game demos that I've been working on, I like to use some mobile suit 3D models in order to, entice people to test play them for me. So, with that said, I've got plenty of these 3D models that I've been working with, and I am rigging them up to be posed for 3D printing. So I'll be working on that as well because with the printer due to arrive tomorrow, I've got my slicing software all set. I'm going to be in Chitu Box and putting together some build plates with some mobile suits on them. There are some guys on. I found a guy. I mentioned him on Discord. I found a guy on Shapeways that sells Gundam miniatures, but the poses are very. How should I put this? Lame. They are just kind of standing there. It's like as if they're floating in 0G, which is cool if you're on a 0G map. But, I want something a little more dynamic. I want something that's going to look cool as a mini. And then I want to also provide some variety. Static? Is there static in the audio? There shouldn't be. Oh, geez. Oh, the poses are static. I see. Well, I mean, obviously, if it's a 3D printed miniature, the poses are going to be static, regardless, since there's no motion going on. But I just meant more like uninteresting, which I guess static could mean uninteresting as well. Yeah, I mean, I think I can actually pull them up. Let's see, because I wanna showcase what is out there, and what I what I intend to do. So, like, let's see, for instance, and this is a great price for some 3D printed miniatures. Don't get me wrong, 12 pieces, and it's 18 US dollars. That's before shipping, of course. But you've got these, like, they're basically standing straight up still and pointing their guns forward. It's very much like that opening sequence from the Gundam title credits. Surprisingly, wonder, let's see. I didn't know that they had a 3D preview. Oh gosh. This uh click and drag to rotate here. So yeah, it looks like you get 6 bazooka guys and 6 machine gun guys. But no, you're fine. You didn't misunderstand anything. Like I said, these poses are fine, they're workable, and obviously you get a lot of those models, but I'm willing to bet that I can do more with my Elegoo build plate and, you know, have a couple of guys with Zaku machine guns, maybe a couple of guys with bazookas. We hop into I probably need to show the armature. So I did a very basic rig with these guys, and I've talked about this in previous YouTube videos that when I am rigging up mobile suits and robots for that matter, I like to go with very basic rigs, and I like to basically weight paint everything so that the limbs are very stiff, I guess is the right word. I don't like for the mobile suit to be very bendy and look organic. I like it to look very mechanical, which sometimes you get some like weird glitches. Like for instance, if you look at the shoulder here, there's a little break point where the shoulder meets the elbow. That's not ideal. I mean, if I were getting real particular about it, what I would end up doing is rigging the shoulder as one bone. I'd rig this bicep as a separate bone that could rotate, and then the joint on the elbow would be capable of bending. Um, but again, that's not really a humanoid rig. That's more of a, I mean, it's a custom rig, and while I could do that, it also means that I would lose out on humanoid animations when it came time to use these for video game purposes. So it's nice to be able to just utilize the Unity humanoid mechanism animations. So that's why I rig them up this way. and I think that it's good enough for government work. And I'm not like, these aren't things that I'm going to be doing. Um, Obviously I'm not working on a AAA video game here. Can you be a mod? I mean, I don't know. What's your mod? Give me your pitch. Give me your if you're applying for the job. So, hopping back into the Gundam 5e rework. Obviously, I've listed out my objective and goals. We'll see. Now that wouldn't work. If you ban everyone who makes fun of you, you'd have to ban me, and you can't ban me because it's my server. um, as I've said, several times in all of my videos talking about the design philosophy behind this homebrew, I didn't want to restrict players in any way. I don't want to. Let me rephrase that. I want to discourage certain actions and encourage other actions without outright saying no. What that means is if someone wants to use a Gundam type mobile suit at level 1, they should be able to do that without it being absolutely game breaking. And the way that I've managed this so far is through the use of proficiency tags. I know that they have been the subject of a lot of ire, but I've yet to come across a better system for managing that. So what I have done is I've revised the process for gaining proficiency in mobile suits, and I've made it something that you don't necessarily have to make a mechanical purchase for. And we'll get into this a little further down the document, but it's something that you can work out with your DM, work out with your game master, and come to an agreement about what that entails. So, but by that same token, you do want mobile suits choice to matter. You don't want people to just be able to select whatever mobile suit and then be able to run and gun with it. So obviously the mobile suit base stats need to be significantly different so that you have maybe not necessarily objectively better mobile suits, but you have subjectively better mobile suits for certain scenarios. We can put it that way. I've also had some other considerations that we've explored. We will probably be introducing some type of tech tree. This was brought up as a result of, with the addition of more mobile suits to the available mobile suit library, there are a lot of mobile suits that are really just variants on existing suits. But with the upgrades tab being the way that it is, you can equip shoulder-mounted cannons to any mobile suit in the mobile suit library, obviously, because that's, I wanted to make it open to customization. Players can, kind of make their Gunpla masterpiece, so to speak. But the flip side of that is that by purchasing those upgrades, rather than them just being a Zaku with cannons equipped on it, it becomes a Zaku cannon, which is, I don't want to say better, but it'll be a better modification than just raw shoulder cannons mounted on a suit that's not supposed to have shoulder cannons, if that makes sense. So there's going to be a lot of stat changes and a lot of reworks when it comes to the actual mobile suit stats. You'll see that basically there's going to be a balancing mechanic that makes, when you take an upgrade and you apply it to specific mobile suits that unlock those mobile suits as part of a tech tree, that mobile suit will perform better than if you were to, say, apply a shoulder-mounted cannon to a goof, which the goofs are, there's no goof cannon, right? So like, so that's sort of the the thought process behind that. There's some talk, originally the classes of this system were called specialities, and the reason that I did that is because there's a stigma sort of attached to the word class where people tend to think of it more as a job. And I've mentioned this again in several of the videos that I've made about this system is I didn't want classes to be jobs. I wanted classes to be fighting styles, and backgrounds are your job. So you're not, you know, you're not an officer, you're not an engineer, you're not a tank cadet as a class. You are a scrapper as a class, and your background is you used to work as an engineer, or your background is that you went to officer school. Um, that's always been my philosophy behind that. And if you think about D&D 5e, that's the way it is, right? Like, you know, you might be a bard in class. Your skills are geared towards entertaining. Obviously, there's different types of bards. You have like acting bards, you have your singing bards, your musicians, what have you. But then your job, you could be a charlatan, you could be a folk hero, you could be an artisan from a guild. Your job is not tied directly to your class. Your class is it's something different, right? It's not what you do for a living, it's how you live. That got strangely philosophical. So, with that in mind, I did revert back to the term class, and with that, I'm probably going to be renaming some ability scores. Don't kill me. So, the will ability score, since it's tied to physical attacks, since it's tied to things like athletics, I wanted to rename will as just general physique, right? It's going to be your strength, your speed, everything, all of your physical attributes outside of a mobile suit. And then all of the skills are going to be divided into trees of these are skills that you have when you're in a mobile suit, these are skills that you have when you're outside of a mobile suit, and these are skills that apply to both. And this is really just going to be a way of dividing things and organizing things on the character sheet to make life easier for GMs because they're going to know what skills to call for or what skill checks to call for, and players are going to know what to ask it, what they can do. And so I might even expand the skill list to include some things that maybe don't fit in one category or another. And I think it's just going to make everything a little bit more concrete. Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't like change, and for those of you wondering, because there's a lot of updates that we've been wanting to make. I've been holding off on those updates because look, we're making some changes to this core system, and so adding more content on top of a system that's about to change, the bottom's going to drop out, and you're going to have to redo that work anyway. So it's going to be better in the long run to initiate these changes, and then we can add content on top of a solid foundation. That said, also probably going to just rename mentality to intellect for no other reason than I prefer int to men checks. I don't know. Men checks just sounds like, I'm scoping out dudes at the beach. That said, we are also removing a couple of classes. Well, I say removing, I'm more like restructuring a couple of classes. The Newtype classes. I know that this has been a topic of a lot of debate because a lot of people want to equip their mobile suits with funnels and incom systems, but they don't want to commit to being a Newtype class. I totally get it, totally understand that, but it doesn't work, right? Because you have to at least have some latent Newtype potential in order to operate a Psycommu device. So we're going to be treating the Newtype mechanic as like dragon marks from the Eberron campaign setting. Dragon marks are obviously something that you can be born with, as is the case in Eberron, or you can, as part of the narrative, they can be given to you. In this case, we're also going to allow a mechanical way for you to sort of purchase a dragon mark, or Newtype class. So it's not quite a prestige class. You're not multi-classing, so to speak. But what you're going to do is you have the ability to unlock a set of Newtype abilities, and it's going to come at a cost. And you'll also, get less benefits than some of the new type powers were just absolutely insane. You could do psychic damage for like 10d8, and the pilots can only have like a maximum of what, like 15 hit points. So 10d8 of psychic damage, you'd kill pilots like instantly. Oh, what's going on, Ender Clan? Yes, the dragon marks are tattoos in the Eberron universe. You're like born with like a dragon mark, and it represents your clan. But it also comes with a lot of benefits. You get a couple of ability score boosts. You get some spells accessed. So the skill or the spells that you're going to unlock, the new type abilities that you're going to unlock are going to be reduced. You're not going to be looking at 200 a list of 200 new type abilities anymore. It's going to be like, look, you have access to these 8 or 9 new type abilities. Each of them has a cost associated with them, and as part of your level, you're only going to have access to a certain number of new type points to spend. So at a certain level, you're not even going to be able to use the most powerful new type powers that you've got. So if a new type power costs 7 points to use and you only have 2 new type points per long rest, then you're SOL, right? So you can only use like the baselines. I think that that's going to be a great way to handle it, and we're going to get into that a little further down the list here. Like I said, these are just kind of these are the rough thoughts. Additionally, since we are removing the new type classes, we are going to convert the proto new type modules, the subclasses from the proto new type class, into mobile suit upgrades, which makes more sense because that's what they are, right? So your exam, your Hades, your Alice, your NTD, those are all systems that you install on the mobile suit, not on the pilot. So it doesn't make sense for you to be able to Barbarian Rage as a pilot if your mobile suit doesn't have that system equipped on it. So those are going to be upgrades that are added to the upgrade list. And additionally, those are going to be part of the tech trees, right? So if you take a ground Gundam and you equip it with the exam system, you get the Blue Destiny, Also, Doc, not that it matters to me, but don't know if I would like to know a mod. Well, hey, there's different types of mods, right? Just like there's different types of doctors. Um, but yeah. So anyway, hopping back into it. Oh, right. And of course, one of the biggest changes is we are going to tie armor points more directly to the class than the oh, you know what? We probably need to just go ahead and, if we're going to remove the new type classes in general, we're going to go ahead and format this. We're going to just put a strike through that because those aren't going to matter. So before, all of your hit dice that you were given, as part of a short rest whenever you would recover armor points, your mobile suit would get a flat D8. Everyone got a D8 unless you were a mass production mobile suit, in which case you got 2D6, which gives you a higher average, but like a wider range of what you could get, right? So, now we're going to tie it to player class. It's going to make your class choice a little bit more important, which I think is going to make the game more personalized to people because, before it didn't seem like it mattered whether you chose a guerrilla or an or a artillery. Obviously, infiltrators are broken because they're tied to the rogue class in D&D 5e, and rogues are broken. Flat out. I'm gonna say it. Rogues are broken. In fact, I'm considering making changes to the infiltrator where they only get sneak attack damage, they don't get the cunning action. Because honestly, the cunning action is what really breaks a rogue to me. Sneak attack damage on its own, it doesn't really mean a whole lot because you can only do one attack with a rogue per turn anyway. But when you pair it with that cunning action, that dash, that disengage, or that hide, it becomes a very big problem very quickly because you get the dash out of hiding, hit, then hide again. So it's an idea that I'm entertaining. I'm open, of course, as always. Everything everything I do is open to interpretation, is open to discussion. I'm always down to hear better ideas. As of yet, I've heard a few, and I've heard a lot of bad ideas, but the better ideas are few and far between, in my opinion. Just because a lot of people are looking for different types of systems. There's a lot of Gundam RPGs out there that are geared more towards being like a tabletop version of Gihren's Greed, where it's like a war game simulator, not necessarily a role playing game. There's a lot of miniature war games that it's like, yeah, this kind of feels like BattleTech, but it's not a role playing game. And if there's one thing that I've been gathering from being a player again, it's been a long time since I've actually played in a role playing game, and being part of the River Quest campaign over on, hey, here's your little plug. Go follow RiverQuest Games on YouTube, Twitch, DLive, and Odyssey. RiverQuest Games is the homebrew D&D 5e campaign that I am a player in. The DM is fantastic. He's a much better DM than I am. And one thing that I've gathered from that is that the most entertaining moments from tabletop RPGs not from like what you achieved, right? Like it's not when I tell stories about the things that I do in tabletop role playing games, I'm not like, yeah, man, I rolled an 18 and I slayed that dragon. It's like, no, there was a moment in the last game where we were role playing a scenario and one of the players was suggesting a course of action and another player was questioning that course of action, and my character, being the sort of oblivious surfer dude moron that he is just like, whoa, I don't think that you should talk to an upperclassman like that. And it's like those are the things that we remembered that, right? That was like our moment. We don't remember the things like, I unlocked the Gelgoog. I unlocked the Gelgoog 3 months before it was supposed to be deployed, and therefore we beat the Gundam before a Baoku. It's like, well, I mean, yeah, that's a cool story and all, but like, it's kind of flat, right? Make me mod and I will ban myself. Oh, jeez. Everybody wants to be a mod. So, again, the whole mentality behind this game system is that it's meant to be a balance of role playing and gameplay. And I've mentioned this to some of the folks on Discord before. Is it's like you get too far in one direction or the other. Too far in the direction of like, well, this should just basically be a tabletop version of Gundam Battle Operation 2. That's annoying. Nobody wants to do that. First of all, Gundam Battle Operation 2, great graphics, fun gameplay, I guess, but it's actually a garbage game. I hate it. It's Gundam Fortnite, right? It's Gundam Fortnite with a rock paper scissors element, because and you explain to me why one mobile suit, regardless of what weapon they're equipped with, does more damage to another type of mobile suit. It's idiotic. Anyway, that's the far end of the gameplay side of things, right? And then you get on the far side of the role playing side of things, and you get to people who just do like text based RPGs. And it takes all of the fun out of it because there's no randomized element, there's no dice rolling, there's no like, there's combat, but there's not like combat where you might die. It's like if the game master says you die, then you don't really have a choice, right? It's more just like storytelling. So it's finding that fine balance of game mechanic and narrative that I think D&D 5e makes very easy for people, and that's why I approached the system with that. Not perfect, but I think that it's a lot of fun. Let's see. They do that a lot in Japanese multiplayer games, like the three types that has a weakness and a strength. Yes, they do. That is a very popular mechanic. And I've mentioned this before. I think that I'm a big fan of systems that have like 6-way or 5-way trees. um Transformers Forged to Fight. It's a mobile game, but there's 6 types of Transformers, right? You have like the tactician, you have the brawler, you have the flight person, you have the powerhouse or whatever. There's 6 of them. And so every one of the 6 has one weakness and one strength. But if they meet someone else on the grid, it's not there's no there's no buff and no debuff. That's the best way to go about it, I think. Hey Titanic, hope you're doing well. So let's see. I think I got off on a tangent there. Again, these are the rantings of a madman. You don't have to necessarily take these with anything more than a pound of salt. All right. So, I mentioned before that we are going to treat the Newtype classes instead of being full-on classes. They're like dragon marks, right? You either have them or you don't. Um, One of the prerequisites is that you have to have a psyche score of at least 13 or greater. I think that's a very easy thing to have. And then, of course, it's something that you work on with your GM. Um, so, there are actually several subsets of Newtype to select from. The Mad Hatter going crazy with a twist. Well, obviously, I'm always going a little bit crazy. In fact, you know what? Oh gosh, sorry about that. What I really wanted to do is I am going to grab some music and throw that onto our stream here. Because why not? All right. So now we should be getting some music coming in here. That way, all of my rantings and ravings have a nice little soundtrack behind them. So, there are several subsets of Newtype that I wanted to include, and I was partially inspired by this. I was partially inspired for this by the Dynasty Warriors Gundam games, actually, to be honest with you. Because I can't remember if it's Dynasty Warriors Gundam 2 or 3 that had different types of Newtypes. You had like empathic Newtypes, and then you oh yeah, prep. Yeah, the project is ever evolving and ever changing, and I really don't want to ever reach a point where we're out of beta, right? Like it's I know that's like New Balance's soccer um slogan is like always in beta, but it's like you really can't stop improving. And so that's why I want to come back to this, and I want to keep tweaking the system and keep pulling levers and making sure that I get the best possible gameplay experience that people can have. So, and obviously you see that I haven't filled out this chart of the abilities that are unlocked, but there are several types of Newtypes that are going to be available for you to select as your, say, Dragon Mark using the language of Eberron. These are just going to be awakening types, right? Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and add the ing. Newtype awakening types. So you have your empath Newtype. These are the people that I would consider the true Newtypes because they are the ones who truly express a level of compassion with other people that's kind of supernatural. It's your Lala Soons, it's your Camille, Banager, people that don't necessarily use the combat abilities of a Newtype, but use the the psychic abilities of the Newtype. Sorry, I'm just like checking in on Discord, making sure that no one has joined the chat. Of course, the mods are always welcome to join the chat, and then anyone else, send me a private message and we'll see if you can hop on the voice. So with each different new type, awakening type, you get, different abilities that are associated with that sort of new type. Additionally, you have the combat new type. This is people like Amuro, like Char, like Judo. These are the people that, while they don't express the same sort of psychic abilities that like Haman has, they are like the Earth Federation definition of a new type. Basically the ace pilots, right? So they ideally are going to have some ability to use Psychomu weapons, but for the most part, they are going to have those buff and debuff abilities available to them. As well as, again, every single one of these is going to come with an ability score increase and a skill fortification. So, and then you have the healing new type. Healing new types, I didn't even finish the description for what a healing new type is, but the healing new types, they're going to fill the game role of a cleric, but I think that what's a good example of one? I guess you would find them in, say, Gundam Unicorn or Gundam Narrative. You're going to get the people that can turn back time within a mobile suit and, like, disassemble it from inside out. As much as I hate that kind of stuff, it's a little that new type BS. This is where we're going to incorporate that. You're going to be able to rebuild and disassemble mobile suits from the inside out. So it gives you a gameplay benefit while also being lore accurate. You get to be a miracle children, right? And then, of course, finally, we have the Cyber new type, which is highly influenced by the Aberrant Dragon Mark from Eberron. The Aberrant Dragon Mark obviously grants you better abilities. It's going to grant you higher damage attacks. In this case, it's going to be your all-range attacks, your Psychomu attacks, your in-com attacks. But the penalty that comes with that is that you are going to have to roll on a psychic scarring table. And one of these 6 results, obviously, again, haven't filled them out yet. I'm still working through these changes. And so I welcome any suggestions for what these flaws could be. Obviously, things like Rosamia and her fear of the sky falling. That's a great one. 4. What was 4's big weakness? So 4, she had no memory of who she was. And so that could be a flaw that you have to live with in character. And so, yeah, these cyber new types, as a result of the psychological damage dealt to them by the experiments that were performed on them, they are unstable. And so you can either select from the list, or you have to roll a d6 and you get a random flaw that is associated with the increased power level that you have as a cyber new type. Seems fair to me. All right, moving on. The mobile suit modules. These are going to be added to the upgrade list. And again, they are going to be part of that tech tree. If you equip a GM with the Hades system, you get a Pale Rider. If you equip a Ground Gundam with the Exam system, you get the Blue Destiny. Or, well, I guess it's like if you equip a GM with the Exam system, you get the Blue Destiny 1. If you equip a Ground Gundam with it, you get the Blue Destiny 2, and so on. If you equip a Zeta Gundam with the Alice system, you get the S Gundam. Something like that. So there is going to be a tech tree aspect of that. And I'm working on all of the sort of graphics and the web features that are going to be available with this. Random charts are with terrible things are always fun. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to go off the rails with tables because I don't want the game turning into Traveler. I don't want it to be super crunchy, where it's like, okay, well, I got hit. Let me roll to see where I got hit. All right, I got hit in the arm. Let me roll to see how much damage was dealt to my arm. oh, that's a critical. I'm gonna roll to see if I lose the arm. Like that's too much. I do like the idea of rolling random things during character creation because it gives you things to like fall back on, especially as a player. If you're not kind of comfortable in your character's own shoes yet, and you need some of that role playing fuel, so to speak. This is one of the reasons that I love the D&D 5e system of the bond, the trait, the flaw, and the what's the last one? The ideal. My ideals. The reason I like those four things is that you can always fall back on those if you're confused about what to do as a player. And those are the four things that prevent murder hoboism, if you think about it, because as a player, if you're saying to yourself, what would I do in the situation where a skeleton shot down one of my friends? Well, me as a person, I'd probably say, good luck with that. I'm going to run away. But if my character is someone who's tied to that character, then I would go back and look at my character details and see my character trait is never leave a man behind. So even though it's not the optimal thing to do, even though they're probably already dead and I should run away, my character, because they have the no man left behind trait, they have to go help them. And those are the types of things that make a fun game of not only D&D, but Gundam 5e and every tabletop role-playing game. Anything that you can fall back on as a core value, those are what's going to make it fun to play. And so having random charts to roll on when you don't know what to select makes it even better. Sorry, again, a tangent. So hopping into it, obviously there's some flavor text that I need to fill out for the Alice system, the Hades system, the Exam system, the NTD system, all these different systems. And of course, as new campaign settings are installed, we're going to bring in the Alaya Vinyana system. I hope I pronounced that right, from IBO. The Zero system from Wing Gundam. And those are going to have different abilities associated with them. So, for instance, the exam system is going to grant you basically rage, barbarian rage, and you're going to be able to do it a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus per day. That way, it scales with your level, roughly, and you can basically install it whenever you have enough money to actually install it on your mobile suit. There will be additional benefits that come with installing it on a mobile suit that then equips your tech. However you want to explain it, if you equip a mobile suit that is compatible with the tech tree, it's supposed to sort of encourage certain behaviors, discourage different behaviors, and that's game design 101, honestly, if you think about it. Watch that GDQ from 2019 with Darkside Phil. Again, the Hades system is actually going to grant additional reactions equal to your proficiency bonus per day. So, if you are in a mobile suit that has the... Sounds like my dogs are going crazy. It's probably the mailman, let's be honest. So, the Hades system is actually designed to grant you better reactions, and so you're going to have a number of reactions extra per day. I guess technically they would be legendary actions, but in Gundam 5e we don't have legendary actions, so to speak, so they're just kind of bonus reactions. I mean, I guess we can add like bonus reactions equal to your proficiency bonus per day. So every day you get a certain number of extra reactions that you can take equal to your proficiency bonus. So that extra attack of opportunity that you want to do, if you are a Newtype and you want to use the shield ability twice, you can do that. And again, it scales with your level, and so I think it's a great way to express that. The dogs and cats are great. Just had a fence built this week. I had to build a gate to go along with it. Actually, I'm probably gonna post that on Instagram here soon. To say like, hey, we don't just build gunpla over here. All right, I'm out here building gates. I am sweating my face off because of building a gate today. So the Alice system, the AI powered system from Gundam Sentinel, is going to grant you an evasion and attack bonus by your you get to increase those by your proficiency bonus for 1 minute per day. So it's basically like a rage, but not quite. Instead of getting damage resistance, you're getting like evasion buffs. I might tweak that because obviously your proficiency bonus gets to be up to like 6, right? So if you're like a level 18, you get like a +6 to your evasion and your attack. That might be a little out of control, but that was just an idea that came off the top of my head. The NTD system can be activated as a bonus action. It's basically a rage. A number of times equal to your proficiency bonus per long rest. So the number of, if you're level 1, you get 2 NTD rages per long rest. And while it's activated, you get advantage on all saving throws against enemy Newtype abilities, as well as advantage on skill checks against Newtype characters. This is where, it's going to take a little bit of DM discretion. Does the character necessarily know when the NPC is a Newtype? Do they know when they are engaging in a deception/insight check against a Newtype? That's going to be on the GM to decide. They're going to have to be the ones that call for the advantage on those rolls. So, I think that it's not strictly mechanical because it's not one of those things that's hard and fast. The GM has a lot of discretion when it comes to this because ultimately you may not necessarily know if you're dealing with a Newtype character or not. And so does the NTD system give you that benefit or not? I don't know. It's worth exploring. It's worth talking about for sure. Moving on down the line, this is the big kahuna, the big change, and I think that some people are going to love this, some people are going to hate it. Basically, gaining proficiency in mobile suit and weapon usage has become a downtime activity, or it's going to become a downtime activity. Instead of having to burn a feat upon a level up, you can communicate with your DM, hey, I want to gain proficiency in this type of mobile suit. Fine. Write me a check for this much money. It's going to take you this much time, and you're going to have to roll on a table to determine whether or not it was successful. This is based on all of the same sort of training, downtime activities that you would find in D&D 5e. There's going to be some differences, some adjustments based on the difficulty of learning how to use said mobile suit, but yeah, I think it's gonna be great. It makes it so that you can gain proficiency in these mobile suits, in the higher performance mobile suits, without having to burn what would otherwise be a more valuable feat. There you go. So there's obviously a time penalty associated with learning how to use these mobile suits, and this is actually going to give you more value to your mentality, or now intellect modifier, because the time required to learn how to use a new mobile suit is reduced by the number of weeks equal to your intellect. I almost said intelligence, your intellect modifier. So it takes 8 weeks to learn how to use a transforming mobile suit, but if you have a 14 as your intellect score, that means you get your +2 bonus, so it's 2 weeks off of that, so it only takes you 6 weeks to learn how to use a transformable mobile suit. And 15,000 gila, which again, we've talked about currency before. Maybe we need to come up with a more consistent credit system, but again, when it comes to Universal Century Gundam, there's not a ton of like commerce that happens, to be honest with you. Money is very rarely discussed, and the only time I see it is when Quattro spends like 500 gila to buy a McDaniel's hamburger. So that gives you an idea of what a gila is worth. And then I think there's a couple times in Double Zeta when they use gila as a currency. Anyway, as you move up in mobile suit performance, the cost associated with it increases, the time required associated with it increases, and the success rate decreases. By success rate, let me clarify. The success rate is automatically, if you invest the time and the money into learning how to use these mobile suits for your character, you do get it. There is a 1 in 12, 1 in 10, or 1 in 8 chance, depending on what type of mobile suit you're learning to use. If you roll a 1 on that skill check, so to speak, you encounter a mishap. Whether that means, you lose a limb, you get a horrible injury, or the person training you on that mobile suit dies, and then all of a sudden you have a mortal enemy that hates your guts for letting their spouse die while they were training you to use a Gundam. Those are the sort of penalties that are going to be associated with rolling on that table. Again, that's one of those tables that I have not filled out yet. Obviously, it's a little further down, but it's going to add a little bit more flavor to everything. It's going to allow GMs to basically have more fun with their players. So these are the types of changes that I am making to the core of the system. There's going to be less classes available. There's going to be more access to new types and new type abilities. There's going to be more access to mobile suit systems, such as your Hades, your Exam, your Alice, your NTD. And hopefully, I think there's going to be a little bit more player expression going on. Because, again, I don't want everyone to be an infiltrator. I don't want everyone to just go with whatever is mechanically optimal. And I think that this is going to make that a little more, just a little more fun to play with. Now, that's going to mean that I am going to have to change a lot of the mobile suit stat blocks, because the mobile suit stats are no longer going to affect armor points as much as they do evasion. Since we're going to be using hit dice for the classes now. So the mobile suits are actually just going to come with an armor bonus that is applied before the bonus is multiplied by the player level in order to calculate the armor points. At the end of the day, they're all going to come out to approximately the same values. They're going to be close. It's just the calculations that are different. So, anything that's balanced for D&D 5e should, in theory, remain balanced for Gundam 5e. All right. So now that we've talked about all that, does anyone have any questions? Let me see. Was there any Discord questions? I don't see anybody hitting me up on Discord for any clarifications on anything, so I'm going to assume that means that everyone's on board for all of the changes that I'm going to make, and no one's going to complain to me at all. Now, that said, hopping back into the Gundam miniatures that I'm going to be making, obviously, again, I've got my Zaku. I think that 3D printing is going to be great for these sort of grunt mobile suits. And, I'm such an idiot. I should have grabbed... I did some painting tests earlier where, it's like I did a variation where I fully painted a Gundam miniature versus just priming them and hitting them with a light gray, almost white dry brushing, just to make the details pop a little bit more. And, sometimes I like just doing that. Sometimes I like going full painting when it comes to miniatures. I don't know what I'm going to do once I get these guys in. And again, these are... I don't want to be as much of an asshole as the rest of the Gundam 3D modeling community is. I'm sure that if you are one of those people who likes to, you know, 3D print your... What the... Sorry, sounded like someone was trying to get in the front door. Oh, Blender quit. That happens. That happens from time to time. So if you are someone who has been in the 3D printing community for a while, you know that people tend to be big old jerks when it comes to their Gundam models. I don't want to be such a jerk. I want to, as much as I can, make models available for people to use. And so if you can think of a good way for me to do that, please leave it in the comments below, or find me on Discord and we'll talk about the best way to do so. Because again, my goal has always been to make this game as easy and fun to play for as many people as possible. Give this guy a nice little action pose here. And again, this is one of those things where it's like, when it comes to posing, I'm a bit of a noob. I wouldn't say that I'm super noobish, but I'm probably gonna have to go in after the fact, and you know, we've got a little bit of clipping. Okay, so scale, as far as the 3D models go, the 1/400th scale looks good. It matches, for the most part, what a D&D 28mm miniature looks like. These guys, I will say, are closer to like 40 to 45 millimeters tall. So that is my sort of goal as far as the average height of a mobile suit is going to be 40 to 45 millimeters tall. So it's a little bit bigger than a D&D miniature. But then, like, let's face it, most of those, like the official WizKids ones, they're way too freaking small. You know, the Reaper bones are obviously a little bigger. Okay, this doesn't want to... Yeah, because I'm thinking I could throw a little shield on him. Depending on what type of base I throw him on. Like, I don't want to... I don't want to make it so that he doesn't fit on the base, right? See, and then of course there's a lot of these poses that I can almost recycle. Because, like, say for instance, if we do a shield here and a machine gun there, boom, we've got machine gun GM. Then if we raise the arm up, maybe fling it out a little bit, throw a beam saber in that hand, and all of a sudden he's a beam saber wielding GM. But yeah, to answer your question, let me double check here because I've got my hop back into object mode. So we are in millimeters, obviously. So currently, he is only 17 millimeters tall. So he is actually a little guy. He's a little guy. A little guy. Little guy. If I were going to 3D print him, I am probably going to look at making him exactly 45 millimeters tall. So something like that. Raise him up. And then this is where we'd want to get into orthographic mode and make sure that our pose is nice and flat. Okay, easy now. He's like a rocket, just like kicking it out here. We want to bring that foot forward. Down, and then up, and bring this foot up. And again, I'm not the most experienced when it comes to 3D printing. So I'm going to obviously start with some Hero Forge minis and work from there. But then, you know, we're gonna start getting into some Gundam minis, and I'll probably make some YouTube videos about what the rare can GM. Yeah, exactly. No, that's not the can. Can's not Jewish, it's French. But I was thinking of like the Cossack dance. But yeah, the trick is gonna be finding out where to slice these guys, because obviously, you know, I don't want to have too many pock marks on these guys once I've 3D printed them. So we'll see how it goes. I think that that's a pretty dynamic action pose without being ridiculous. I think that that'll work. Let's see. We can probably let's go ahead and add some. We add some OBJs. Obviously, I've been doing a lot of converting. Hop into our Unity game. Maybe find our RGM 79 ground GM. Keep going. GM command, armor GM. As you can see, I've got a lot of GMs to choose from here. We got the guard custom, GM sniper custom, GM ground type. So that is gonna be the Let's try this. There it is. There's our GM shield. We probably need to scale that down, right? Let's make it like maybe 0.1. That's a little too small. Let's do 0.25 scale. And then we are going to bring it forward. I think that's a good scale for the shield. It's a little oversized for what the shield actually is, I think. But I actually kind of like it that way. And honestly, if I wanted to do this a much better way, what I would do is bring it back to its starting position, and we are going to go... This is actually, yeah, this is going to be a much better way to do it. We're going to go back to pose mode, or rest mode, sorry, out of pose mode into rest mode. So this is going to give us... Those dogs are going crazy upstairs. Mrs. Hatter must be fixing a delicious dinner, because those dogs are flipping out. Alright, so I think that that's a good position for the GM shield. It's not like spot on, but I actually kind of like that, because I don't want it to be very stiff looking. Then we're going to just reposition it so that it's actually attached to the arm. Then here's what we're going to do. We are going to parent it to this armature. Then we are going to select it, go into our tab, and set it to be a child of the... Let's do the lower arm. And now that way, we go back into object mode, and we select the armature, and we hop back into the pose position. Boom. Our shield is automatically applied in the position that we want. So again, this I think is going to be a sick pose if we use this as like a beam saber kind of overhead swing type pose. Pretty sick. If we rotate this shoulder down, we can do kind of like a firing over the top of the shield position, which is also dope. So, all in all, I am excited about the things to come. I'm going to be sharing with you my 3D printing misadventures here starting tomorrow. And again, I'm excited to be playing some role-playing games again instead of just DMing / GMing games. Every third Wednesday of the month, I will be GMing tabletop games. Sometimes it's going to be Gundam 5e, sometimes it's going to be my Traveler game. Whatever, people are available for to play. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun, like actually continuing scheduled games again. And I hope that you guys enjoy that too, especially now that I can bring some props and some fun stuff to it. So anyway, I think I am going to call it there. Since it doesn't seem like there's any more questions about the G5E updates and the whole sort of system rework that I've been talking about for this stream. If you do have any questions, please reach out to me in the comments below, or reach out to me on the Discord. Like I said, I am always open to suggestions. I'm always open to feedback. Just be aware that some feedback is valued more than others. Just based on whether or not you have experience with the system versus just somebody who's reading the rule books online. Anyway, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. the less rare GM, the Jim, so to speak. Oh, hey, and welcome Joe/Milo to the Discord. Happy to have you on board with, of course, a new member, obviously, during a stream. That's kind of rare. So anyway, like I said, if you do have any concerns, any suggestions, any questions about the new updates coming to Gundam 5e, let me know either in the chat below or on the Discord, and I will make sure to address them. At the very least, I will, tell you, hey, it's all going to be okay. All will be well. I am Hope Walker. Or Saint Walker, right? I'm the Blue Lantern of Hope. I am Saint Walker. All will be well, and Gundam 5e will continue so long as I will it. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in and for participating in the chat. It's always fun to have people alongside me while I rant and rave like a lunatic. I'm looking forward to getting some more Gundam 5e games running, and we've been talking about that kind of stuff on the Discord. So this has been the 5th week, sort of, I guess, should we start calling it the Leap Month Q&A stream? Hope you guys have enjoyed it. I will, again, do this every 5th weekend of the month, which comes once in a blue moon. And, well, obviously once in like 4 blue moons. And, yeah, like I said, we just have fun with it, and we kind of shoot the shit and just talk. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys are looking forward to the changes coming to the Gundam 5e website /system. And you know where to find me. I will catch you all later.